Jane Hedengren came into Fayetteville as a freshman with huge expectations. She already had records, but this stage was different. By the end of the night, she didn't just live up to the hype, she made history in a way no BYU woman ever had. College track has seen a lot of phenomenal freshmen walk through the doors. Mary Kane broke records. Alexi Pappas ran fast. But there was something different about the buzz surrounding Jane Hedengren when she arrived at Brigham Young University in the winter of 2025. She wasn't just fast. She was historically fast. In high school at Timpview High in Provo, Utah, Hedengren didn't just break records. She obliterated them. She became the first high school athlete to break the 15-minute barrier in the 5,000 meters, clocking 14:57.93 at the Arcadia Invitational in April 2025. She ran 4:23.50 in the mile. She ran 9:34.12 in the 2-mile. The times weren't just good. They were times that looked like they belonged in a college meet, not a high school one. When Hedengren stepped up to run her first collegiate track race on December 6, 2025, at the Boston University season opener, the college running world was paying attention. What happened next shook the entire sport. She didn't just win the 5,000 meters, she ran 14:44.79 and broke Parker Valby's NCAA collegiate record in the same breath. The record had stood for years. Hedengren erased it by 8 seconds. It's not a surprise that Hedengren has been able to step in and immediately become competitive with the best in the NCAA, one analyst wrote. But Hedengren has done far more than just be competitive. That single race sent a message. The freshman from Provo wasn't here to compete. She was here to dominate. Hedengren's path to the NCAA Indoor Championships in Fayetteville was never going to be simple. In the cross-country season just months earlier, she had squared off against Alabama's Doris Lemgole, one of the best distance runners in NCAA history. Lemgole was a 5-time NCAA champion. She had won at every level she competed at. She had never lost a 3,000-meter race indoors in 2026. At the NCAA Cross-Country Championships in November 2025, Hedengren finished second. Lemgole won. The gap was tight, but it was still a gap. And when you're a freshman chasing greatness, every loss is a reminder of the distance you still have to travel. But the indoor track season tells different stories. Cross-country is about endurance and patience and racing the course and the weather and the field. The track is about speed and aggression and precision. It's a different beast. Hedengren arrived in Fayetteville with massive advantages stacked in her favor. She already held the NCAA record at 5,000 meters. She had run it in December. She had proven she could break records under the brightest lights. And she had something else. She had momentum. The women's 5,000-meter final on Friday night, March 13th, was supposed to be a coronation for Hedengren. She was seeded first. She held the NCAA record. She had beaten everyone else in the field at some point in the season or in her times. But championships aren't always predictable. Races don't happen on paper. Hedengren took the lead before the end of the first 1,600 meters. The pace was controlled but firm. She ran that first 1,600 in 5 minutes, 4 seconds, and 43 hundredths. It was fast, but not killer. She was hunting, not panicking. At the halfway point, something changed. Hedengren began to increase the pace. She was done playing chess. She wanted to break the field. The next 1,600 meters dropped to 4 minutes, 46.36 seconds. By the 3,200-meter mark, she had already run 9 minutes, 50.79 seconds. The pace was accelerating. The gap was growing. Lemgole was still there, still trying. New Mexico's Pamela Kosgei was fighting, but they were chasing now. They weren't racing with Hedengren anymore. They were racing to stay close behind her. The final kilometer is where championships are won and lost. Hedengren had saved her best running for the moment when it mattered most. She closed that final 1,000 meters in 2 minutes, 46.24 seconds. It was a killing pace. It was the pace of someone who was ready to destroy the field. Hedengren won the 5,000 meters in 15 minutes, 0 seconds, and 12 hundredths. She set a facility record by 14 seconds. Lemgole finished second in 15 minutes, 3 seconds, and 42 hundredths. Kosgei took third in 15 minutes, 7 seconds, and 76 hundredths. Hedengren had just won her first NCAA national championship. She was emotional at the finish line. She hugged her coach, Diljit Taylor. She hugged her mom. The moment was real. The pressure was over. She had delivered. I think there's just so much work that goes into these events and into every day, Hedengren told ESPN afterward. It's a culmination of tons of work and dedication, and so every race is a great opportunity to show that and have some fun. But she wasn't done. She still had the 3,000 meters waiting for her the next day. The athletic calendar waits for no one. Less than 24 hours after running the 5,000 meters at championship pace, Hedengren had to return to the track for the 3,000-meter final. You're in this interesting spot where you got another race coming up, but you also want to celebrate the race that just happened, and so it's a delicate balance. Hedengren said about managing the time between races. Going into Saturday's race, Alabama's Doris Lemgol was still in the picture. She held the fastest time in the NCAA this season for the 3,000 at 8:34.98. Hedengren's best was 8:34.98, but it was just slightly behind. But 2 hours before the race, Lemgola pulled out. She had been spotted in a walking boot after Friday's 5,000. A tendon injury had forced her name out of the final. The race was Hedengren's to lose. She came to the track ready to finish the job. She took the lead from the opening gun. She wasn't going to let anyone dictate the pace. She ran from the front. She led from the start to the finish. The tempo was relentless. Over the final 800 meters, Hedengren was practically racing herself. There was no one close enough to push back. There was no one running beside her. She had created space, and she used it. Hedengren crossed the finish line in 8 minutes, 36.61 seconds. She set a meet record, crushing Parker Valby's previous mark. Pamela Kosgei finished second in 8 minutes, 43.86 seconds, 7 seconds back. The gap told you everything you needed to know about how dominant Hedengren had been. With that win, Jane Hedengren became the first BYU woman to claim 2 individual NCAA titles at the same championship. She had swept the distance events in consecutive days. She had beaten the best runners in the country at 2 different distances in the same weekend. Winning 1 NCAA title as a freshman is remarkable. Winning 2 in one weekend at 2 different distances is historic. Hedengren had already set the NCAA 5,000-meter record in December. She had already run the second fastest 3,000-meter time in the NCAA this season. She had already proven she could break records in her first race as a collegian. But sweeping the NCAA Indoor Championships wasn't guaranteed. Championships are different. People run different. Pressure is real. Yet Hedengren had walked into Fayetteville and executed. She had raced with precision. She had run from the front and never backed down. She had done something no one on her team had done before. There really might not be anyone at the NCAA level who can push Hedengren at the 5,000 or 10,000 meters outdoors. Analysts noted after the meet, she's already easily clearing New Mexico's Pamela Kosgei, who is the next best candidate. The question now isn't whether Hedengren can win NCAA titles. The question is what she does next. Can she make the jump to international competition? Can she run with the best in the world? That's the conversation that matters now.